So I have now my purse fully flipped out. I've got all my corners pushed out. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clip the top edge of the purse just to kind of help hold the fabric in place where I want to top stitch. So I'm gonna slightly pull down the interior lining fabric into my purse so I have a nice tight top area, so you can see. So I'm just gonna go ahead and clip around the entire top edge. I just find it's much easier doing this than fighting with, making sure that everything is staying in place. If you have to use your thumbs to roll it down a bit, that's fine. Because you really want, what you basically want is you want this seam here, you want it to be the very top of where you're sewing. You don't want it to like be at the front or the back. You want it to be at the very top. Okay, so I've already gone ahead and I've clipped most of that. So now I'm gonna go ahead and top stitch it. So I top stitch it from, again, the inside, where my interior is facing up, my exterior is facing down. And for this, I'm not gonna start at the top there. I'm actually gonna start at the side panel. So I can, my beginning and end stitches aren't quite so visible to the public. So I have a leather needle in here now because it's gonna get a little thick right where you pivot. It's a little bit thick there with the cork and the foam and the fabric. So again, sew till you need to pivot. So I'm going to pivot right here. I really just want to stay following my line. Pivot again. You can see that. And now I'm just going to follow this curve. Okay, so I've run out of thread, I think. I think I ran out of bobbin thread. Or maybe not. Maybe just, it sounds funny. So I'll just keep sewing. That's my biggest fear right now. I'm doing these videos and I'm like, am I gonna run out of thread? Am I gonna run out of bobbin thread? So if I do, I do. Alright, so just keep sewing along this curve, following it with my 1/8 stitch. Just to get that nice, clean, finished look. Again, squishing the purse as you go. A lot of purse squishing in my life. Okay, we've reached the end of the curve, so we're gonna pivot. So we're sewing down towards this side panel. Pivot again. So we're sewing straight across the side panel. I hope you guys can see that as best as you can. Alright, and I'm pivoting again. So I'm sewing up towards where I'm going to start curving. Pivot again. Squishing the purse as I go so I can show you how I'm doing this. So just take your time. There's no rush. It's not a race. Take your time so you have nice, even stitching. It's not all wavy, and make sure you're, especially where you're pivoting, you want to make sure you're staying on the fabric, not sliding off the fabric. And again, pivoting. We're almost done. Oh, make sure that zipper stays out of my way. And again, one last pivot. We are almost back to where we started, which is the very center of this one side panel. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to show you so you can see where they're pivoting. There's a couple little threads I need to cut off. And then you can see where I sewed and I was pivoting and just pivoting there. All that's left to do is to close the interior opening now. So we'll go ahead and do that in the same video. So pull out your lining fabric. Okay. So what I like to do is I like to make sure it's flat. So I use my fingers inside and make it flat. And then pull straight across. You can iron this if you want, if you feel more comfortable making these creases before. I personally don't feel like I need to. So I'm just going to, as you can see, I'm pulling the fabric to get it nice and tight. I'm going to clip my opening closed. Again, I find just pulling it makes it easier to tuck that opening in, because it should be a 1/4 inch, just like when you were sewing everything together. Or, I guess it would have been 3/8 of an inch, not a 1/4 inch. This is the interior lining fabric. Just a couple clips. Okay. I'm gonna sew along that entire opening. Now I like to make my stitch a little smaller, so I'm gonna just turn it down. So instead of being my usual 3 lengths, I'm just gonna do 2.5. And so as close to the edge as you can. And just sew that entire opening closed. Okay. Clip off any little threads. A couple down here as well. Now you're going to push your lining fabric back into your purse. And the only thing after this is attaching your crossbody strap, the rest of your hardware. So you've got your zipper end and a zipper pull if you need it, and then you're done. You're good to go.